And with that, I'd like to welcome fellow TMA members, Ben and Eric Bruns of Ablesoft Solutions. Good morning, you guys.
Good morning. Thanks, Amanda. Nice job on the last name, too. So I'm Ben Bruns, and I represent the sales and leadership team at Ablesoft, and this is my brother, Eric.
I'm Eric. I do development as well as project management and kind of trying to corral Ben. So
yeah, well, he does his best. And today we're going to talk about no turtleneck tech. Basically, the idea around that is, there can be a lot of like exciting, big, grand terms and language used to describe technology. We're trying to remove the keywords and the buzzwords and talk about practical ways to use software to improve your environments from a manufacturer's perspective. I don't know if you can see in the back here, but I actually do have my turtleneck hung back up. It's although it is a specimen of great fabric and quality and great article of clothing, I got a little bit lost and caught up in trying to sound innovative and using cool words. So I apologize for that. So today is going to be very different. So with that, we're going to get into the launch of Ablesoft's currency called Douggie Coin, the new digital currency that's going to take over the way in which we make payments, in which we interact with our customers, clients, and the world.
Ben, what is this?
It's our digital currency. Elon Musk is investing billions of dollars into it.
I'm sorry, folks, this wasn't part of the plan. Ben, no Douggie Coin. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I don't know who helped you with this, but well, it's got to stop.
Lisa, our designer, helped us with it, and I think it looks pretty nice. I thought it was a good idea, but
all right, let's go along with what we planned, please.
Okay, all right. Well, so we don't just make failed currency, evidently. We also do other things. So Ablesoft, we're a family-owned custom software business. Our dad started it in 1994. He's actually over there somewhere, but I'm hoping he doesn't walk by. We're located in Oregon, Illinois. It's a small little town. Great environment to have a software company. Surprising. Nestled on the Rock River. You can see in the bottom corner there's a Black Hawk statue there. Iconic viewpoint. I think it's one of the largest cement structures or statues in Illinois. Quote me on that, but so in the corner there, it's the team. We're a small specialty software shop, so small employee base. Actually, we're missing a couple of employees. We have Andrew and Edgar and Randall who joined us as well. Unfortunately, it's been too cold to take a new picture, so we'll have to make up for them. So what we do, basically, through custom software, it's all about process improvement. So working with companies to improve their operations or come up with ways to solve their problems through kind of unique approaches. And I have it in the little quotes. There's at Microsoft, we use Microsoft technologies. We're not going to get into too much of like the actual technologies and underpinning pieces. We want to stay more into the business side and how it applies to manufacturing. But in addition, we do assessments of your existing products. If you have a custom application or maybe a process you're looking to improve, we break it down and look at how you can improve that. But also, we do other things. We're not just that, right? Like you do other things.
Yeah, other things. I'm actually going to be a new father in May, so I'll have a lot more other things going on.
Oh yeah, well that's we have an employee who's brewing beer. Mm-hmm. Dad likes to cross country, so we do stuff. Just software. And so generally we work with I'd say like 70% of our customer base are manufacturers, a small to mid-size, who generally have that mindset around operational improvement, or at least a stakeholder who's looking to find new ways to think about their processes. So our mantra is personalized innovation. Basically, it's a big world out there, and especially when it comes to technology, there can be the big company approach talking about the artificial intelligence, the keywords of things that kind of are big and daunting, and then there's the smaller startup companies that might be a little bit risky. We kind of find that spot in the middle where we have the history of 26 or so years, but approach it as in the partnerships that we have in building these solutions. So personalized innovation. So that's that. So we're going to get into some use cases today, and before that, we'll talk about some trends that we've seen across manufacturers and currently that we see. But before we do that, we kind of wanted to take a step back and get into the different worlds of software. So Eric, if you can just step back. just kidding, we don't need to say step back. So, okay, so software worlds. You know, basically this is a viewpoint that isn't ours. It's a concept that was introduced by Gartner. They're a large company that advises on technology strategy, but it applies to kind of all businesses. And they came up with this kind of mode 1, mode 2 model to help you better understand how software operates within your business. And it's theoretical, so it's kind of from that standpoint, but I think it's quite helpful. So I'll hit on mode 1, and then you can hit on mode 2 if you're cool with that.
Sounds good.
If you didn't, I'd be shocked because we rehearsed this. So, all right. So mode 1, think of that as kind of your backbone system of record types of software. So a lot of times people refer to it as their ERP. That's the name, Enterprise Resource Planning, and it could be maybe an SAP system, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics. It's a thing that runs across your business, known as a system of record. And generally with those types of projects or things that span that many departments, the types of projects around it are methodical, longer lasting, and you know, there's more focus on kind of risk aversion. So that's kind of the more traditional mode 1 of software, but also within companies can exist this second mode, or the mode 2. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, so mode 2, so that kind of deals primarily kind of with your line of business application. So that's kind of your shop floor app. Maybe it's a quoting app, just, you know, something that doesn't kind of expand the whole gamut of your company. It's a little more focused, a little more refined. And one advantage of that too is it kind of takes that whole larger project concept and just consolidates it into an iteration. So that way, you know, customers are able to kind of get feedback and kind of get something in their hands at a quicker rate, rather than, all right, you know, after this big long project, now we finally have it. It's just kind of an easier way to break it up and give you things quicker.
Right. So a lot of times, you know, we'll talk to manufacturers and they're like, hey, our IT guy, he's just worried about keeping the lights on. And there's a relationship that's formed that generally, hey, can we have this? And the IT person will say no, because he has other requirements and just keeping the lights on, making sure things are in place. But within that same realm, you can still have the ability to have targeted improvements through software in your landscape, and they can coexist into a beautiful harmony. So doesn't that sound nice?
Beautiful.
Okay, so now that we've stepped back and talked about that, I think going into some of the trends that we've seen in manufacturing over the years might be kind of a fun little exercise to do. So let's go to that. So we just broke it down into kind of 4 categories here, and as I mentioned, you know, some of these things are things that have existed since the dawn of manufacturing and technology, but there's still trends that we can see today, and some good examples of kind of low-hanging fruit or things that we see that you can improve on. You know, start with these 4. I'll take the first 2. So first one, heavy Excel use, particularly on the shop floor. You know, Excel is a great tool. We use it a lot. We'll build applications that leverage it, or you're able to import and export with it. It's a strong tool, but it does have its shortcomings, especially when you're looking to have more accurate data that maybe has some restrictions of sensitive information, whether you're sharing it across multiple people or different stakeholders from across the company. You know, there's kind of a crutch that happens when you overly rely on it. And it's pretty common to see, you know, companies that have maybe they have a pretty robust back office system, and then you go to the shop floor and you see pretty pricey employees who are working on things in Excel to a great extent. So that's kind of one of the things that we've seen in the types of projects that start with that kind of area. The other area is just disparate systems. And when I'm speaking of this, I'm kind of speaking in terms of just manufacturers on the floor in particular. Once again, maybe they have a back office system that is pretty good, but then you go to the shop floor and heavy Excel, or they have new pieces of equipment or equipment that have their computers associated to those, which would be like a PLC, and they don't communicate. So although they have, you know, modern technology and the plant equipment that they have, and then their back office equipment, there's no kind of connection between them. So then you kind of get back to that first piece where Excel may be used, or workarounds, or other kind of means like that. On to the other 2.
Yeah, so the next one is access of information. So kind of Ben was saying, you have all these separate different pieces, but you know, you want to pull all that information together and create valuable reporting off of that. So reporting can be, help with your production efficiency. It can help with just costs and things like that. So that runs through the shop floor, through your back office folks. So valuable reporting is good for any company. So like I said, being able to pull all that together is one thing that we've seen as well. Another thing is manual entry. Again, kind of what Ben said, people punching into Excel, maybe they're filling out their orders manually. Sometimes software can help kind of bring that together. So one of the trends we see, like I said, just kind of that manual overhead and that work that it takes to do some of the everyday things.
Yeah, so there's entry data once, there's twice, and then there's the three-peat, which that's not good in the world of data entry. It's less exciting than like sports championships or something. So yeah, these are all important trends and current things that we see in manufacturers, but it pales in comparison to the fifth trend that I've really identified. Douggie coin. Douggie coin is going to transform the way.
Take these stupid glasses off.
I thought if I repeated it, you would be on board, but
no.
This is making us look bad because we're pitching our currency. That's what's going on here, really.
All right, Ben.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. But okay.
Fix your hair too.
Oh, all right. Better.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So so now we're going to transition. Those are kind of some common trends that we've seen, and now it's time to get into story time. I bet you didn't think you were going to hear a story this morning, and actually we're going to give you three, but instead of a fantasy or something that's exciting in that realm, it's going to be grounded in use cases of software with our manufacturers and past customers. Even more exciting, I'd say. Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
The romance of technology and manufacturing. I don't know. Okay. So the first story is about higher asset utilization. Yay, you're probably thinking. And so for this example, it was a wire manufacturer in Northern Illinois. And it was a pretty interesting case in which they purchased a new shop floor equipment that basically changed the way in which they captured the final product. So they're manufacturing coils, and they brought an automated pallet system to have basically to improve the quality of their end product on a distribution of heat of the coil. And in doing so, they still had their current back office ERP system, which was a mainframe. So a little bit of an old school system, no judgment here. We can work with that. That's all good. But in doing so, they had the PLC associated to that new piece of equipment they bought. They had their back office system, and they're like, well, hey, how can we rethink this process? One, we'd like to be able to tie these together somehow. And two, we'd like to be able to support our new workflow process. Ablesoft, can you work with us to figure this out? To which we said, no, I'm sorry, we don't do that. I'm just kidding, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the solution that we came up with was an application that supported their just-in-time. So basically, what it did was just read more of the information coming from the PLC, some customer-specific components that they're looking for, and to pull that out and bring it into their existing system. So what that was able to do is extend the lifespan of the PLC that they purchased.
Yeah, so this is a good example of the disparate systems were able to create a small application that connected both of them, and then they're able to get some more benefits of extra data collection. If customers made requests on more information they wanted about the steel, they could capture it on those tags as well. So that's pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
What's extra neat is this is a little twist at the end. This happened 20 years ago. And the point isn't that we only have customers from 20 years ago. The point is that they're still using this software to this day. So that's a cool example of they built it and it lasted for a long time. So you can imagine the ROI on that, which would be pretty cool for the time. And 20 years ago, I mean, think about it. It's like, do you know how many Fortune 500 companies came and went since 20 years ago?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot probably. I don't have an exact number, but it's probably a lot. All right, well, with that, let's get to story two. On that current theme of kind of interesting cases, performance metric capture, another exciting coin term. In this case, we are dealing with a forging manufacturer in Northern Illinois. A lot of Northern Illinois, that's pretty much where most of our customers are, stay local. And in this case, stamping, so they basically have these big metal stamps that would beat equipment metal pieces into different forms to then serve their customers across different industries. And in this case, they actually were pretty good with they had a modern, ERP system. It was Microsoft Dynamics in the back office. That was pretty good, but there wasn't much of a presence of any of those products on their shop floor. And really what they just wanted to do was, hey, what's the uptime of our machine? What's the downtime of our stamping machine? And what are the reasons for scrap? And that's enough information that we could do across the shop floors to make decisions on. For them, there weren't many alternatives out there that made sense, with their current software provider. Their options were a little bit more robust, a little more expensive than they wanted to go down. And they're like, really, we have some kind of bare needs that we'd like to kind of get up and running. So basically, we worked together and we came to a conclusion solution. Oh, that's so good. All right.
Yeah, so what we came up with was a desktop application for their shop floor folks. Basically what they do is scan in using their existing scan guns that they have, record all their scrap, information, materials, things like that. And then that information would package it up and then send it to their existing system. So again, this was something that was kind of augmented on to what they already had. It didn't interrupt their workflow at all. It tied in nicely with what they were already doing. And the beauty too is that, they had multiple locations, so they're able to take that same application, use it across all the different plants, and then that way they have the same workflow happening at all different locations, able to pull the same data and get what they need.
And it only costs them like 3 Douggie coin.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, enough for the Douggie coin. But what was cool was then management was able to better understand the performance of their machines, the uptime and downtime. And, as Eric was saying, once they built it, they could use it across all their other plants to standardize. And if there's little changes across them, those are easy to make. But it was the kind of opposite approach of buying a fixed product to grow into. It was delivering on kind of what their needs were there. So that was a pretty neat story. All right, cool. So let's get to our final story. I know you're thinking, oh man, already? Like I just want 100 more, but we have to get on with our day. So all right, this one's all around scheduling, and this was actually a more recent customer that we've been working with, and they're actually another wire manufacturer in Northern Illinois. There's a lot of them out there. So in this case, it was all around the scheduling process. Basically they had one scheduler per plant, I believe, yeah. And they were the sole person responsible for getting the information from their back office and the orders from the ERP system, and then kind of assigning the work and the jobs across the different lines. So it's cool to have that responsibility, but also the issue was all the responsibility was on that person. So if the scheduler was out, or if some unexpected thing happened, there were potential high disruptions to the business. And actually the customer we had worked with had done this before at a couple of previous companies, and he basically wanted to instill more ownership of the plant in the scheduling process to make sure it's not just restricted to one individual, make things like a little less stressful, I would say. Yeah. And so he came to us and he wanted to kind of think of a way to do this. So what do we do?
Yeah, so some of that less stress comes from, obviously with scheduling, you can throw things up on monitors, on computer screens, have all this live data, but they didn't really want that. They just wanted a simple solution of print these tickets out, display them on the shop floor so everyone can kind of see it's color coded and you have an idea of what's going on. So what we were able to do was using Excel, pull in their orders from the day before, upload it into the application, print out these print tickets. And like I said, they're color coded based upon machine, part number, date, time, all the different key components that they're looking for. So then that way their folks can just easily look at the board, see what they need to do for the day and go about their business.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like that's a good example of pro use of Excel. Like we like it, right. we can use it, like let the employees use it to the extent that they need, but then we capture it into an application and then you can actually store the data a little bit better, share it, and do more with that. But why this is a neat story in our eyes, sorry for all the needs, but I kind of like the word, it's soft. But it was a low cost approach. It wasn't trying to do more than they could handle. Like Eric said, it wasn't going into this crazy jump ahead of what they need to do. It was like, hey, here's the problem we're trying to solve. What's the low cost, high value way to approach it, and then we can grow from there. Because that's the way we think it's best to approach, especially if a company is new to software, is the crawl, walk, run. You could start off sprinting, but you're gonna fall. That's not our mantra. That's not. All right. Well, so that wraps up the 3 stories we had and kind of trends we saw.